Hello everybody, Daz here. Today's video is a rare occasion when I venture outside of my usual theme of computer modding and water cooling, and today we're talking about comparison between GoPro 5 and the GoPro 3 Plus, both black versions. But as any other computer enthusiast type of person, you always feel the pressure. Do I suppose to upgrade? That's basically the story. Do I need a new graphical card? Do I need a new CPU? So do I need a new GoPro? I was able to resist with a huge deal of difficulty throughout release of GoPro 4, but when GoPro 5 was released, it promised that you can deal with the camera underwater without any additional casing. That was a big thing for me because I really like snorkeling and filming my encounters underwater. So that's basically pushed me towards pulling a plug and getting the GoPro 5, despite the fact that really nothing was wrong with GoPro Hero 3 Plus I'm having. So it wasn't sure sell. So this video I would like to give you a few examples of comparison between 3 and 5, and maybe it will help you in your decision if you think that it's time to upgrade, or maybe you want to skip even that generation, watching for GoPro 6 that inevitably will come later. So first thing that you notice, the huge difference between the cameras is basically weight. It's really more convenient to use cam with screen. For that reason, when I purchased 3, almost immediately I purchased external screen. So this little thingy, it adds to the weight of the camera and make it more bulky. So if you compare the sizes, it's quite a bit of the difference. So including the screen, 5 is quite smaller, it weighs less a little bit, especially with big housings that it requires. I use housing almost all the time because I mostly film underwater, but even if you go into general excursion, you don't want your things get scratched or get moisture, because usually humidity 100% and tropical, so it makes sense to keep your housing all the time from dirt, dust and humidity. For 5, it's more like just plastic around the camera for the purpose of you can have a mount on bottom of it. So if you want to use like selfie stick or put it on your bike or whatever, so obviously the camera itself has no mounting whatsoever. That's basically what it's for. Plastic is very light, almost weighs nothing comparing with this one, because it doesn't need to withstand any pressure or anything like this. This one is more rigid thing that you put camera in and you make sure it's all very clean, because the dust can break your seal and you lose your cam. But overall, that's your package. Buttons extremely stiff because again it's waterproof, so in order to start or stop cam you actually need some effort to press through the button. It's not a big deal, but that's how you feel, because comparing with this one, the buttons right on the camera, very soft, and in order to start it you just basically press it and it goes. You press the button and it starts recording automatically. With the old one, and it was 100 times when I saw really cool fish or whatever, something other cool stuff underwater, and they don't like to stay and pause for you. So while I'm struggling through the buttons, the whole thing gone. With this one I was able to start and stop camera much faster, and I had opportunity to film more interesting things than usual, so this was definitely a benefit. I also took some effort this time and I did a parallel video recording on both cameras because I wanted to see the real difference. First thing that I noticed, and I kind of knew about it, but it was interesting to watch, GoPro 3 Plus. It records a little bit things a little bit warmer. It's more a little bit yellow stuff going on. I always had to adjust it a little bit because it was unnaturally warm. I would say that the reproduction of colors on 5 was extremely accurate, because when I started looking through all my footage right after vacation and seeing still in your head very vividly, I can tell you that the colors was exactly the same. One thing that I noted also was that certain rocks that was kind of purplish from algae, it seems like it was a little bit more pink than it is. So it's not like 100% accurate as I believe, but nevertheless it's much more accurate than I would say comparing with a GoPro 3. When I film underwater, the things was a little bit less obvious. Sometimes when you actually look from the down up to the body of water, I found that 3+ shows a little bit nicer color reproduction, closer to what you need to, and GoPro 5 had a little bit less pleasing color reproduction in this situation. But when you look down, GoPro 5 almost always look better, and after many hours of watching, I can tell you that 5 overall give you a little bit more accurate reproduction. But realistically, if you a little bit into photography, into video production, if you take footage from 3 and you take footage from 5, basically you can even them up to identical picture. So in terms of ability of post-production final result, I wouldn't say that 5 gives you that much of benefit, because you actually can fix 3. That's kind of a draw in my personal opinion. The another thing that I try to figure out, that 3, obviously I use it in the housing, that muffles sounds a lot, especially outside. Even you try to talk to yourself, you actually need to speak aloud so you can go through the plastic and record it. And it's always sounds that you cover your ears with a pillow, and that's how it sounds.
This is cool. Look, no tourists.
And 5 sound outside of the water was absolutely amazing, because the microphone basically fully exposed, so you can talk nicely into the cam.
How's weather in Canada, friends? 28 right here.
Of course, outside it's quite often, especially like on the ocean, there's a lot of wind, which you have to use suppression techniques to kill noise of the wind. In this situation, the results kind of start evening out. This is still more muffled because of the casing, but with the wind suppression, you have a more clear sound out of 5, but nevertheless, it's not as good as, let's say, in just no wind environment, maybe you in jungles. Another thing that I noticed, that underwater, I would say that I was totally displeased with the results I get with 5. With the 3, yes, it's muffled, but it reproduces the sound underwater, which is more resembles what you're actually hearing when you're under the water yourself. With this one, if you don't use a wind suppression, it's just some horrible noise going on, because of, I guess, how water flows interact with membrane on microphone or something, so it's totally unusable. If you put the wind suppression on, sound improves, but it's still very different. It's totally distorted from how it sounds for your ear underwater. I'm not saying it's important, because most cases when you do your snorkeling or scuba diving videos, you usually kill the sound anyways, because it's not really usable. People put music or just muffle it, whatever. But nevertheless, I'd like to point out that sound of GoPro 5 underwater was pretty much bad, and this one was much better. So if you want to give some feeling how things sound underwater, I would rather use my 3 than 5. Am I happy that I get to 5? Absolutely. The battery already started wearing off on 3, although it's replaceable, of course. Battery life on 5 was absolutely great. You don't need to dealing with all this casing cleaning. Overall experience, nice. If you're on a budget, is it really must to upgrade? Absolutely not. I can tell you the final result, a little bit hassle, you need to a little bit do post-production for your videos, but the final result will be just as good as a 5. For that perspective, I would say, if you difficult situation, you can't spend money right now, don't kill yourself that you're like 2 generations behind. It's not as much as it sounds. It's also 5 has one serious flaw that I'm personally absolutely hated, that the position of buttons is really awkward, and if you need to open cover for battery, so when you press this button you also have to grip around the camera, and there's another bloody button on the side. 9 times of 10 you power off your car, you want to power it off before you open up, right? But in many cases you start like trying to open it, but accidentally you starting your cam, which is really annoying. So you can see I can't even open, it's already already on. So this is, I think, a design which can be improved, even if they put this bloody button from this corner and the upper corner. It already will be easier, but they did it this way, and it's absolutely stupid and annoying feature that totally pissing me off every time I need to take SD card. But other than that, it's really only one major complaint I have about this cam. Pretty happy, will be probably still keeping both on my vacation. 5 will be moving forward my first choice in my snorkeling adventures, and 3 will be my backup. Alright guys, I hope it's helped you out a little bit. Thank you for watching. I see you soon with the computer stuff.